Hello, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create expert B2B SaaS landing pages. Now keep in mind, for my client, we basically doubled the average dwell time on this B2B SaaS homepage that I created for them. And in addition to that, we also increased demo bookings as well when I structured the landing pages and wrote the copy differently. Anyway, stay tuned throughout the end of this video, and if you want selected value, you can look at the timestamps to figure out which is most valuable to you. Anyways, let's hop right into this video, shall we? Okay, and before I get into this video, I want to show the results. So the company that I work for, which is a B2B SaaS company, I have no idea if I'm allowed to give away the name of it on camera, but this was the before and after results for some of the websites. This is the average dwell time, and this is the average dwell time. Yeah, just felt like shouting that out. Anyways, let's hop right into this video. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to craft your value proposition. So now how do you do this? So the first thing that you want to do when you craft your value proposition is, actually I prepared a document for you. You want to gauge the clarity of these three questions. So who do you help? What problems do you solve? How does your product work? So for instance, who do you help? So you want to first start with the type of company that you help. So for instance, if you're a SaaS company that's marketing towards healthcare providers might be too general or broad. Think smaller. Okay, so maybe you market for companies that do cybersecurity work for healthcare companies. That's the exact SaaS company that you are. What problems do you solve? So like, are you a penetration tester? Do you conduct penetration tests for hospitals around a certain part of the United States? Because your competition doesn't do that. Do you do a certain type of penetration test? Do you do SQL penetration testing? Or are you specialized in database? Are you specialized in like web penetration testing? Or are you specialized in AI, where you try to see if there's vulnerabilities in the LLM systems that were implemented into different medical systems around a certain part of the United States? And that branches into how your product works. Do you have a certain software which kind of efficientizes the process of your penetration testing? Do you have, or do you do consulting? Why exactly is your product better and more efficient than your competitor? And you want to take notes on all of this, because once you do, you want to implement it in a concise and TLDR manner on your homepage. And also, when you are establishing this, if you're still in that phase, you want to analyze their desires. What are their fears, frustrations, wants, aspirations? What's missing in their current process or tool set? What's the promise? What is the most common promise your competitors make to prospects? By the way, if you want, there's the link to this is right here. It's made by Powered by Search. They do a good job with this. And what's the promise? What's the difference? Like, for example, what are the gains? This isn't found on their site. And what are the withdrawals? Have you conducted a SWOT analysis on this to determine what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, what the threats are, etc., etc., etc. And then after that, you can say, I help X company do Y and achieve Z outcomes. And that's your value proposition. And what's your unique selling point? What sets you apart from your competition? So if you look at this again, well, actually, I don't think that this is in here, but for instance, with the cybersecurity example that I gave you guys earlier, a really very much of a unique selling point could be that you're the only cybersecurity penetration testing company that specializes in AI attacks for in-house, not LLMs, but in-house AI systems. And there isn't any other companies in the United States that specializes in that. So you can advertise that on like your homepage because it's a unique selling point that no one else, none of your competition can make yet. And in addition, you're solving a very, very painful problem that not very many people know how to solve for an audience who makes a lot of money and can give you a lot of money to solve that issue. And if you know how to solve that issue extremely well, your target market will be able to give you a lot of money to solve that issue. And now this brings me to my second point. Following a homepage structure and formula. Now I think that Lemlist does a really good job at this. So it starts with the hero section, which is essentially where it gives the value proposition, why it makes it somewhat unique. A very concise way of stating the outcome, and then more context on what the product does. And then you go down here and you have a little bit of social proof, which is also important, as you can see in the diagram. A more social proof in depth by an actual one-liner testimonial. And then after this, it goes into the solutions. Now, on some home pages, it starts with hero section, goes to a problem section, then goes to a solution section. But for the solution section, scrolling up here, as you can see, it gives you a header stating what it actually does, and then it basically goes out with an outcome, and then it basically states a little bit of what it is. And then it says what it does, a little bit of an outcome right here, but it doesn't go into depth about the outcomes and what it does. And same thing here. And then you scroll down, and then it gives more social proof, which is more conveying evidence of the outline. And then for module number 3, doing a competitive design analysis. Now, what does this mean? So this means while still adhering to the design requirements or design guidelines for your SaaS company, going ahead and comparing different B2B SaaS or SaaS companies design like homepage designs and seeing which ones that you like. But here's the caveat that you have to listen to. But still adhering to your company's design guidelines. But here's what you're looking at. You're looking at the structure and along with the design look for inspiration / ideas. So as you can see, the structure of the copy is 3 lines. And then it's starting with what it actually does, a little bit of an outcome, and then more about what it does, plus some outcomes, but also communicating what it does along with the outcomes, and then getting started. And then as you can see, a testimonial in this fashion, so you can replicate this while adhering to your design guidelines. And then the problem section. And maybe you can have like these 3 little boxes, but adhering to your design branding guidelines, which means that maybe you implement a different color set or a different font and a different size in terms of text because it makes you you. And then it goes into the solution section right here. And you can copy this, but of course, different photos, different font. But overall, like it describes what it does and then describes a little bit of an outcome and describes how you can get to the outcome, and you can copy this framework, and so on, all the way down. And then you're going to have to map the design to copy narrative. So for example, after seeing this framework right here, where you give like a little bit of a pain question, and then you state that you have a solution, and you state how you got to the outcome, you can copy this framework, but you adhere while adhering to your branding and copywriting guidelines. Now, what exactly do copywriting guidelines mean? So right here, so speaking your audience's language. Now, what this means is knowing the individual pain points of all the individuals or roles that use your product. So for example, I created these lists. while also knowing the exact idioms and phrases that individuals use. So right here, I created a list of commonly used words and phrases to use and not to use for the company that I work for. And in addition to that, I also have a pain point and lingo list. Now, a really good way to do this, to put this into context, is to, for one, I really like this prompt. Think like an expert consultant in X market in whatever you're selling to, whatever your target market is. And then you could say like, and then insert the name of a person, like X person who works in cybersecurity healthcare. And then after that, and then you could also kind of reverse engineer that. And whenever you're writing content, you can say, and for example, you finished writing content, you could say, how is this one liner? Think like an expert consultant in X market, in X industry, like X person, the person who is at the top of your niche, who works in X industry. And then after that, the prompt will do a really good job critiquing whether or not that one liner is good or trash. Anyways, that's the end of this video. If you need help writing content for your B2B SaaS company, feel free to hit me up and message me. I have like a Calendly link below. Anyways, take care. Hope you enjoyed this value.